yet again, this time with David. He's come by to grace us with his presence just one more time. From across the block, of course. So we were actually, I apologize for this, but we were supposed to meet, about an hour and a half ago?
Yeah, something like that.
But I was detained with trying to wrestle my 3-year-old to get her to not shit her pants. And I'll tell you that it's a hard sell. It's a real hard sell, and you'll see. You're a recent dad now, but pretty soon, shitting your pants tends to. It shouldn't be the norm. Believe it or not.
Stop it at some point.
Yeah, and my wife comes home and she's like, trying to also like, she's like, why is she crying? She wants to shit her pants. And she wants to drink some milk while she does it. And I said, I'm not going to give you any milk while you shit your pants. Yeah. And so, obviously she agreed with me. And then she tried to reason with her like, hey, you can't go to school if you're still shitting your pants. And so that's actually like, no, she just doesn't want to go to school. I thought like she would want to be a big kid and like, because she wants to be like her older sister.
Yeah.
But I think that just kind of like gave her a bad taste for school now. Like, I can't shit my pants here.
I'm not going.
I thought this was America. We just celebrated 4th of July, and
she had a firework explosion in there,
Yeah. She's constantly fire. And she's a redhead. So, it's par for the course, I'm afraid.
Are you guys have redheads in your family or?
Yeah, well, so yeah, I have my grandma on one side, and my grandma Ruby, which is her name, also had red hair. So it's kind of like, and we both have Irish. Like I think her grandma on one side had red hair as well, and she also has a grandma Ruby. So it's like we took all our grandmas. And we just kind of like condensed them into one tiny little 3-year-old that's just older than anybody you've ever met.
So she's not a 3-year-old at heart.
No. My 8-year-old's a 3-year-old at heart. Yeah. Bless her heart. But you'll see, man. You'll see because once that little girl gets to be about 3, that's why they call it a 3-nager. There's a chance that she may calm down and you may be able to reason with her in between, for the next 10 years maybe.
Yeah.
But, yeah. Kids are great, huh?
It's interesting. My daughter's going to be 7 months and I just don't see like what she's going to be like yet. It's like she's so calm. And like everything will be fine, and then she'll like get her fists together. She'll put them down, and she'll like turn red and scream. And I'm just like, what was that all about?
They'll do that.
Yeah.
Because my youngest, she was like the happiest baby, right? Until she could start playing, and like her sister started taking toys away. Like snatch them out of her hand and stuff. Then it was like then she awoke the beast. and we can't calm the beast down now. There's certain times where she's like, she'll surprise me and she'll like make me laugh, Yeah. Because she'll be like, she'll jump around a corner and be like, Dad, here's Johnny. Got me there. That's pretty clever. Okay. With no prompting.
Yeah.
But other times it's like, go away. Some wild stuff.
You're all like, where am I gonna go? This is my house.
Right. You're not gonna kick me out of my house.
She thinks she can. That's what like with kids, they think they own things. Like, this is my room. I remember growing up and like my mom and dad would come in and like tell me like, you need to clean your room up, this and this. And I would tell them like, this is my room. I get to keep it how I want it. Like that's supposed to be there. That's laundry. And it's just a big old pile of clothes, And I just remember just like thinking that this is my room. I didn't you couldn't tell me otherwise. Not my dad's house, and this is his room, and I get to live in it. But this is my room. So like when I get sent to the room, I'm like, fine, that's cool with me. That's my place. I'm gonna go kick it in there.
Well, it makes sense, right, from their point of view, because they have known this house for a much larger percentage of their life than you've known this house, right? Because you had a childhood house, and this ain't it.
Yep.
So it's like, for them, this is where everything is. And everything has always been. And everything will be as far as they're concerned. But, I mean, even if they did move around, they'd probably still be little brats. I don't know. From time to time. I mean, I love them, but, it's just those times. And sometimes when, because my oldest is at my mother-in-law's house for the week. She's because, it's summer, she's at camp. But, so... you'd think that it's going to be a little easier because you just have the one.
Yeah.
But that's not the case, right? Because, so, I'll put it to you this way. In the forests, I think in Yellowstone or something, there was wolves and there was, maybe not Yellowstone, but in some forest, there was wolves and there was coyotes, and, the coyotes would always cause the trouble, and but the wolves would check them, But sometimes the wolves can be a real problem in themselves. So, you get rid of the wolves and you think we're okay. But then the coyotes multiply and the coyotes are out of control. And there's suddenly nothing to check the coyotes anymore. So that's kind of the analogy from my 8-year-old to 3-year-old.
There's nobody to calm her down.
There's no one to check the coyotes right now. And, I mean, I'm just a lowly human. So what do I know?
That's hilarious because I've talked to a few people now, and they've told me that when they had the one child, it was its own rodeo. It was like its own version of being a parent. Mm-hmm. But once they had the second child, and now they don't hear them at all, and they're scared. Before the kid would always be like, "Hey, mom, let's go play, let's go," and now she says dead silence. She walks in the room, and the son's sitting on the floor, and he's sitting on top just reading a book, and the kid is just looking around the room like, "What am I supposed to do?" The older brother just sitting on him reading a book, and it's like they play with one another. She comes in the room, they're with their cars, whatever. Of course, they're gonna fight. Here and there, there's gonna be somebody crying. But there's more time where she's afraid that it's so quiet because they're playing with one another.
Like all of a sudden you get that feeling like, oh my God, it's quiet. One of them is probably
dead.
They're probably gone, and the other one's probably trying to revive them. If I get there now, I can save them. But yeah, I mean, every once in a while you have that kind of little. They're playing together. But what I've heard is, from people that have more than 2 kids, the biggest change is from 1 to 2. 2 to 3, 3 to 4, 4 to 5 if you are really going for it. But that's not as big of a change as that 1 to 2, because at that point there's a dynamic that manifests. There's a child dynamic that you have nothing to do with. Yep. Maybe sometimes you do if one of them sees you as like a favorite or whatever, Yeah. But yeah, luckily right now my oldest is kind of like gravitating to me, and my youngest is gravitating to mommy. So it's any guess what tomorrow will be, but that's how it seems to be going, and so at least we can each handle one, But if there were 3, and one gravitated to one, and then it's like, what's that one gravitate to? Drugs. It gravitates to the Ric Flair energy drinks
with the mushroom.
Yeah.
What's interesting? I grew up with 5 brothers. So
any sisters?
No.
Whoa.
So I had an older brother. I was the second, and then we had 3 boys underneath. So it was like Arden was the oldest. Then it's me, David. Then it goes Albert, James, and Elijah. So what my parents did when they immigrated to America from Russia, my older brother, Artem, was 3 years old. I was like 10 months, and my mom was pregnant with the third one. So me and my a younger brother Albert are like a year and 1 month apart. And so what happened was they came to the States and they had 3 kids, and my mom was like, it was so much work. They had a little Toyota Corolla. They were in the front seat, driving, and there was 3 car seats in the back, 1 booster seat and 2 car seats. And she said when she would hear babies crying, she would it would make her nauseous because after having 3 babies for such a long time growing up and in a new country with new language and everything, she said she didn't want any more kids. Like she was just like, that's it. But at a certain point, she looked at her age and looked at kind of like we were getting older. She's like, if I'm gonna have any more kids, it has to be now. And so they got pregnant with I think it was 6 or 5 years later with my brother James. And then they're all like, well, he's too young to play with the older brothers now. He needs a friend. So they started trying for another baby. And 2 years later, they had Elijah. So it's 2 younger brothers. And then there's 3 of us. So what's interesting is as we were growing older, it was not like, the 3 brothers and then the 2 younger. But it was more like you said, they chose one of us, So Artem, my older brother, he was always like the babysitter. Like anytime my parents going anywhere, they leave Artem in charge and he's the one. And then I would always try to be, lone wolf. I do what I want. I don't listen to Artem. And then Albert would just be like playing video games or watching TV. And then James and Elijah would always want to hang out with us. But we're always, go do your homework, get out of here, being bossy, But it was interesting growing up with 5 brothers because I never thought about going out and hanging out with friends.
So you're like one of 6.
One of 5.
Oh, one of 5.
Yeah,
okay.
so older brother and 3 younger. So I'm one of 5. But you could say my dad was one of the brothers. So one of 6.
So your mom came here and she's got 2 kids. She's on the plane pregnant. And she's she turns to your dad and she's like, double or nothing? And he's like, let's go.
The thing is, it's interesting. She came here, she had a baby, and for the first 2-3 years, she was just like, Adam, that's it. I'm not gonna have any more kids. 3's enough. But I think as she kept thinking to herself, if I was to ever have another kid, one more, it would have to be in the next few years because she was already in her 30s, late 30s. And so I think she had James when she was 36 or 37, and then my brother Elijah almost 39 or something like that. So up there. But I believe that she was just so happy that she decided to have more kids because she said that I would probably be upset with myself that I only had 3 and didn't have more. That's how she saw it. So she said that if I didn't decide for the 4th one, then there wouldn't have been a 5th one. But she said I could have just stopped at 3, and I always tell her I'm so happy she did that because James and Elijah, they're so different than the other 2 that me and James were really close, the second to last. And then the last one, Elijah, he's pretty close with Albert. And then Artem moved to New York 6 years ago, so he's come and go, He's always gave me the reins, you're the oldest now, and he just left. You're in charge.
Well, he's been doing it his whole life.
Yeah.
I mean, he's legit. He can retire from it. He's been doing it so long.
It is 25 years.
He should get something. Is that there's no pension there?
I don't think so.
Shit.
But yeah, so he left probably around 25, 26 years old to New York. And I think he's turning 33 this year. Yeah. So the thing is, for me, it's interesting. I look back and I never felt like I had a big family. There was never oh, we didn't have enough of something. Kind of my parents worked their asses off to give us a good life. But like I said, I just never felt the need to go to a sleepover or hang out with friends. I had friends, but they were all mostly calling me to hang out because they had either one little brother or older sister or something like that. Nobody had 5 brothers or 4 brothers at home. So we had our own little soccer team, so.
Yeah, I mean, a whole basketball team, right?
Yeah, basketball team, yep.
Shit. Or Power Rangers.
Yeah.
It could be morphin' time.
Yeah, so thing is, I never felt lonely or anything. I didn't have a chance to.
How could you? I imagine you were lonely for loneliness. At one point, you're like,
leave me alone.
Hey, I'm going to go get some gas. And you just go and park somewhere and just stare at the emptiness. Just relish in the emptiness and the quiet for a little bit. where you return to the fray, you know?
Yeah. The thing is, like, my mom always tells me, she goes, don't think to yourself, like, how many kids will I have? Or, you know, how many is a good number? She's like, time will tell. Like, as you're getting older, you'll see that, like, can I, you know, raise the kids that I already have? And will I be able to have the energy and time to put into more kids? Like a few of my friends and relatives, they have 2 kids and like, that's it. You know, like we're good. We're happy and we don't want any more. My business partner, he has a girl and a boy and they have a pretty big difference. The older one's 15, the younger one's 9. And he says, I wish we had one in the middle or had one right after the last one, like a friend for the girl. Because the older one, he's like kind of like more like lone wolf. He's like all in the books. He's like super smart. And the younger one's always wanting to play with him. And she has nobody to play with because mom and dad are busy or, you know, kind of like they'll still find time for her. But I think she wants that like attention and she's not getting it.
Oh, that's a shame.
Yeah. Yeah. So because, I mean, she's 10 and like she has that period of time where she's learning and she wants to like, you know, cling on to somebody, you know. Her mom is very musical and she plays the violin and she's a violin teacher. The dad, he works with me, we do cars, and she's not like a really big fan of that stuff, but she likes to sing. And so they took her to singing lessons and she's a very artistic and draws and stuff, but she still doesn't have that friend, you know? So I think sometimes you look at that and you think to yourself, that would be a good time where you would have one more, you know? But like he says, I look back and I think we should have tried for one more right away, like 2 years.
So how far apart are they?
So he just turned 15 and she's 9. So 6 years.
Well, so I have an 8-year-old and a 3-year-old, you know, so it's kind of there, but you know, the second was a COVID baby.
But the thing is, lonely. I am so lonely. Keep me warm.
And we got a COVID dog too.
It just showed up.
I finished the COVID car.
The dog just showed up and it's all like, I have COVID.
The dog's like, hey, it's COVID. I heard there's people looking for dogs.
But yeah, so like the thing is, I think that when there's 2 girls, it's a little bit different. Because I grew up with all boys. And like I said, me and my brother I just turned 30. He's going to be 20. We're 6 years apart. And we are very close. Me and brother James. So it's just, I think it's the fact that he's a boy and he has like his own things that he wants to do. He wants to go work out. He's like at the gym now. And he has like his guy friends that come over. And she just girly things, you know. She's singing. She's dancing. She's like does all these like animal sounds. It's hilarious. I remember the first time I met her, she was a cat. And I come in and she's just meowing on the floor.
Oh, we've never had a cat on the show. Bring her on.
Catwoman. No, but you know, it's like interesting how like they're so different. And so she would either need a younger brother that they could kind of be similar with or a sister, you know? And so I don't know. I always tell my wife, I'm all like, we need to have either another girl, you know, within like 2-3 years or a boy or somebody who will be friends with our daughter. She can't be alone because I've met some people, not to bash on anybody, but they're the only child and they're a little spoiled.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, I've seen it both ways.
Yeah.
I mean, I have a brother and 2 sisters, right?
Yeah.
So, but you know, and my wife has a brother and a sister. But like, I know some only children that are like that. But then there's some that are like, there's some that gravitate towards their friends, like their close friends, and they are like very selective because they consider them like brother or sister. Those people are very rare, though.
Yeah.
So there's a disclaimer there. But you know, it's you guys are obviously gonna have another one. You're gonna plan on that right away.
Yeah.
Yeah. So when we get out of this show, probably. But you know,
get back to work.
I told my wife like I want to have a bunch more. I want to have my own clone army. But she's
me.
She's like, you better find somebody else. Like, obviously, I don't want to, you know, like, but she is pretty much done. So I don't know. I mean, it's not like we've like cut anything off or severed anything. Or it's like it could still happen, but it's just, it's less of a likely thing to happen, but if it did, when the last one was happening, and when actually the first one, I was like, hope we have twins, because then it's just like, then you get it, and I'm like speaking from the guy's perspective, right? So, because I'm not squeezing a bunch of shit out of well, I am, but different way. It's not me getting probably cut open, is what it is, and so I just want to maximize it, like it's, if we had 4 kids now, I mean, they'd have to share bedrooms and everything, but I feel like there'd be a lot more playing together, and less fighting, or maybe more fighting, but at least they would be able to form alliances like with the other one, and they'd learn some kind of just diplomacy.
Yeah.
Where rather than just, going on the offensive.
It'd be like Catan, where you're like, yo, do you have more sheep?
You know what? You know what discouraged me about Catan?
What? Setting
it up. Yeah, that kills it for me. It's like 30 minutes to set the thing up, right? And my wife has got it. She has it, and she keeps it in her trunk just in case somebody wants to play it. Yeah. She's super into D&D, and like tabletop stuff like that, which is great. But that takes a long time. It's like Monopoly.
Call me when it's ready.
Yeah, but it's like Monopoly, but if Monopoly were checkers and now this is chess.
Yep.
No.
But I think once you get started, and it feels like it's worth it. I don't know. It's how many times I've played. It's like it's such a good time.
It is. No, it is. Like, we played for a little bit, but have you ever played D&D?
No, I haven't.
No?
The thing is, my brother grew up playing like all those like tabletop games, know, and
Your older brother?
Yeah, and I was never really big on that, but they would always get together and they would like all their friends and they would play. That's
what it's all about, really.
Yeah.
It's not about necessarily the game. It's about how you interact with these fools and the game.
Yeah.
Because I've done a couple D&D games with my wife, and she's usually been the DM, which is like the dungeon master that controls it, and tells you, oh, you got killed or whatever, and it's just about like interacting. That's the fun part about it, because it's an RPG that basically you can play, but there's no like A, B, or C. There's all the way to Z, and then there's an extra fuck you at the end if you want to really want to go out with a bang.
Yeah.
I don't know if we'll ever really play a full game again, because it's just like we're so busy and it takes so much time.
What's interesting is I recently been having this thought process about time and about being busy. You're only as busy as your children make you.
I think Confucius said that. That's Confucius.
Really?
Or maybe Gandhi.
I don't know. But the thing is, I was just thinking about how, like, right before we had our child, we had all this free time and we didn't know what to do with ourselves. Mm-hmm. And now we know exactly what we're doing every night. 6:30 rolls around, 7. We're giving her, my wife and me are getting all her little supplies ready for her bedtime. Then I'm like undressing her to take her to give her a bath. And then I give her a bath.
Your daughter?
Yeah.
Okay, not your wife. Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
So my daughter, and then so I give her a bath, and then she sits in the bath now and she plays for a little bit.
Oh, okay.
Before it was just like, give her a bath and take her out. Now she has these little toys and they're floating around. I just have to prop her up a little bit so she doesn't fall over. But she likes to like splash the water right now. But what I'm saying is I'll do this whole process. Then we'll, put her in a little baby sack. It's like with the arms are out, but the legs are in there. And then we'll put her in her crib and we feed her. And then sometimes she'll fall asleep while we're feeding her. And other times she'll just lay there and like stare at the camera because the camera's like a little light. And she'll like look into your soul through the camera lens. But
maybe she just thinks she's streaming. Maybe she's like, hey, everybody.
Welcome to my show.
Here we are.
In the bed again.
My dad's on Caught in the Moment again. I'm here alone. You left me.
Again. All morning and then now. No, but it's interesting how like that whole process from, let's say, like around 6, she's already getting tired, 6:30 to like 7, 15:30. That hour is like of us putting the baby to bed. And then like we have a little bit of free time, whatever. But then like you're already kind of like also getting ready for bed around 9 o'clock, 9:30. So whatever, even if you turn on a movie, a lot of times we would never finish it.
You ain't finishing that movie. You're trifling. No way we finished a movie. We have not finished a movie if we've had kids here. No way. Doesn't happen anymore. Watch a show. Watch an episode or something.
30 minutes, like, all right, time to go to bed.
Yeah.
But it's interesting how like that is like, I'll be sitting somewhere with friends and then I'll look at the time and it's like almost 7 and I'm like, all right, it's time to go. You know, it never happened before.
Well, and before you're probably like, hey, what do you want to do today? Want to go out to dinner? Sure. You go out to dinner somewhere and it's like, it's a nice little thing. You get maybe you guys get your drinks and you get your food. You're like, that was nice. What should we do now? Let's go shopping or something.
Let's go walk around downtown or something. Yeah.
And then, but when you have a baby, it's like, we're not going to be able to go to dinner because the baby has to get down by this time. And it's like,
her mom says she can't come and watch her. You know, it's interesting. My wife's parents are back in like Russia and Siberia. And
Siberia!
Yeah,
huh?
in Novosibirsk, Russia. So it's Siberia. It's like negative. It's winter.
I feel like Russia is like a small country, but then they're like connected to like the largest piece of like Kentucky or whatever, like the Midwest of what you've ever seen. But it's just covered in snow.
It's like bears. It's just like you look at it and you're all thinking like, wow, Russia's so huge, but people only live in the nice places.
People just right there. Yeah. And it's all this other place that's Kentucky and Montana of Russia. It's just snow, vodka, and bears.
You like the only place I can think of Russia is like in America is Alaska, which is part of Russia in the past.
I mean, I've heard that people can see Russia from their, what is it, porch? What did Sarah Palin say? My front yard or something? I can see Russia from my house?
Yeah, it's interesting, though, because you think, like, you know, Russia like gifted it, but they sold it for such a low price to America at the time, and they would be over it, you know? But I think, like, for years and years and decades, they've been thinking, like, wow, we just gave away such a lucrative piece of land.
That, especially during, like, the Cold War. But I think that if they had still owned Alaska, then the Cold War probably would not have happened.
Yeah.
You know, because it was like 100 years right before World War II or something where they sold it. Mm-hmm. And I mean, it was a pretty sweet find because have you watched this show called like Wild Alaska or something like that?
No, I don't think so.
Well, there's this woman named Sue on there. And she's like a one-woman army, and she like controls this one airstrip, right? And she's like, I mean, tougher than anybody that I've known, you know, because she like runs this whole airstrip, and she has to basically like kill stuff to like survive, but can it or dry it or whatever, and it's like just her on this whole airstrip, and a dog, you know.
Who cleans the airstrip?
She does.
Wow.
She does it all. She's the only person on site. And so I mean,
nobody else lives out there. It's by herself.
Yeah.
Her and the dog.
Alaska would probably be the most dangerous place to invade. Because not only do you have way more guns than people there, just like most states, but you have people that are friends that have got along and formed some kind of relationship with the natives, like the Inuit and stuff, or the Eskimos that are there, and everybody knows. Nobody really, well, not nobody, but I would say less people in Alaska rely on supermarkets than in any other state.
Yep.
You know, so you take out the electricity in Alaska, they're probably the best off. You take out gas in Alaska, they're probably still the best off. Anything you do to Alaska, they're probably still the best off. You know, and they're the most probably resilient country. I mean, state.
Small country.
Yeah. It kind of is as far as the size, right?
United States, United countries.
Yeah.
50 of them.
And how many islands do they have? Damn! Shitload of islands. None tropical. But, you know, to go out there and see, you know, the killer whales and stuff like that, that'd be cool. I'd be down to go out there.
Yeah, my buddy, he moved here, I think it was 6 years ago. His name's Eugene. He grew up in Alaska.
Shout out to Eugene.
Yeah, and so he anytime he tells me about stories of Alaska, he's all like, it's pretty boring. He's like, out there unless you're really into snow stuff, you know. And he's like, everybody was snowmobiling, not because you like snowmobiling, but because that was the only transport into certain places.
Yeah.
And then you're hunting, and then he's like, they're drinking a lot. He's like, it's pretty much just like hunt, you know, hang out with friends, drink. It was not like really much to do, you know, because it's so cold so many months of the year. So,
well, what are your so it's your family-in-law, right? That's out there in Siberia.
yeah. So
What do they do?
So my wife's dad, he just is a security guard for some place. He used to be a security guard for a rose growing like a warehouse. It was like a greenhouse that would grow roses
In Siberia?
Yeah, and so like it'd be a warm, like, how do you call it, greenhouse? It's a humongous one, and he'd walk the lanes, you know, just like protecting it. I don't know. It was just a rose growing place, and then mom.
Hold on, that. So, I gotta stop you there. In the middle of Siberia.
Yep.
There's a rose growing warehouse.
Yep. So they sell roses to like a big portion of Russia, this warehouse. And then they also grow like tomatoes in there and something else. So it's year round. So it doesn't matter about the temperature, what's going on outside. They have like heaters and stuff inside.
Oh, so they grow vegetables there too to eat.
Yeah.
Oh,
yeah.
okay.
But most of it is roses because they got it down so well. These roses are growing so good and long stem and all kinds of different sorts. And they're sending them all over the place. So
they've geared it to roses.
Yep.
Okay.
So, he used to work there, but I guess they were like cutting the amount of people they need because I guess nobody really steals roses.
I can't imagine. No, it's certainly not in Siberia.
Yeah. And so pretty much he works at some other place now, security still. I guess that's like where he went for like his profession. And the mom, she went for child development and she is a school teacher. And then now she does part-time school teaching and part-time she's a cook at the school.
Oh,
Yeah,
lunch lady and a teacher.
Yeah, but she got tired of the whole teaching portion of it because she's been doing it for so long. She's like, anything.
Dude, I mean, nothing will make you not want to have kids like other people's kids.
The thing is though, she says like, your kids will always be a little more stressful than other people's kids because other people's kids, they die. And she says it's not as harmful towards, you know, your well-being.
Wow, that is okay.
She's like, you don't want them to die, but they're not as close to you as your own. So she's like, we're teaching them how to be good people, and we're teaching them math and English, all this stuff. But when it comes to like just keeping their safety, it's important to them. But let's say they were to go home and not come back the next day. Oh, we lost Johnny or whatever. But it wouldn't be like as hurtful as if you were to lose your own child, you know?
Right. That's yeah.
So yeah. She's saying like you care about their well-being while they're in school, but like kids transfer to different schools, you know, things happen, they move. And so she said, you're not getting connected to them as much as your own child. So you're willing to do more for your child than some student. I mean, there's teachers out there, don't get me wrong, that will do everything for their kids. Mm-hmm. But it's just interesting how 10 years into being, you know, a school teacher, she's just like, just give me something, anything, you know, because they have 2 classes. So there's a morning class. It's like it's 8 to 12 or 8 to 12:30, and the next classes are 1 till 4:30. So like the younger kids, they have 2 because there's so many kids in that area that they have to split them up.
So so they only go to school for like 3 or 4 hours?
Yep. So you know how like kindergarten in America, you only have like morning or afternoon. So it's the same thing, but they have it up till like 6th grade because there's not enough teachers and not enough classrooms where they have school. So they have to split them up throughout the day. So you have either morning class or afternoon class. And you'll have that same period, like the same class for the next 6 years. So from like 1st grade till 6th grade. You won't be like you'll have afternoon after whatever. Whatever you get, that's what you have for the next 6 years.
So you're stuck with those fools.
Yep.
That one kid that sits behind you that, you know, he doesn't really shower a lot.
Yep.
You know, the kid that maybe he doesn't brush his hair or teeth or anything. That kid, you're stuck with him.
Yep. And so the thing is, what my wife said was, the kids that you'd be in class with, like you would be like family after a while, because like every single day you're spending so much time together, you know. So, but it's interesting. And then you get to like 7th grade or whatever, and then you go to a different school. And so either some of the kids will transfer, and sometimes the kids will move to a different school that's like not too far away. And so you'll kind of split up, and you'll have new kids in your class. But the first 6 years or something like that, it's like same kids every single day.
It's just that it's not, for me, it's that Siberian life, right? It's because that's a desert. Really. I mean, really, it's a desert, right? Because it's just, except it's cold.
It's so crazy to me because I went there. I had my wedding in Novosibirsk. So my wedding was negative.
Where's that?
In Siberia.
Oh, oh, really?
Yeah, that's where Novosibirsk is. So it's like, I had my wedding there. It's like Novosibirsk is like one of the bigger cities, like St. Petersburg, Moscow, Novosibirsk. But I never understood, how do people live in Novosibirsk and not want to move somewhere? Like I was telling her, I was like, it's freezing cold for 4 or 5 months of the year. You're like, have 3 pairs of clothes on. You have like this big old like coat, you know, hat, got your scarf, like covering your face. You only see your eyes. And then your eyelids are getting stuck shut every time you blink, you know?
So you're living on Hoth.
Yeah.
Okay.
And so I'm telling -16 on the day of our wedding. And I'm all like, how do people do this? You know, I was like, how do people do this? I was like, how do you leave your room and go outside? You're in a nice warm room or your apartment house, and you walk outside and you willingly go to work because you got to live on something, right?
Yeah.
And so it's like, it's ridiculous that like people just have to come accustomed to that. So like you said, people who live in Alaska, they're, you know, more resilient to certain situations. I think people who live in Siberia and Russia, they're ready for whatever.
Yeah. I mean, that's an understatement, right? That's. I think you have just earned the award for the Caught in the Moment understatement of the day. Because the people that are living in Siberia those are a different breed as well. I mean, you know, the people in Alaska kind of always have the backing of something. Mm-hmm. But in Siberia, you are really on your own. And there's there's bears also in Alaska, but the bears seem to be different in Russia. Like what's wild is like people are pretty close to the bears over there. You know, like in Alaska, they like shoo them away, or they like get rid of them, or somehow like they try to keep them away, stay away from them. But over there, they're like, well, let's let the bear in today, you know? And I've seen like videos of people just like training a bear. Yeah. Like training a wild bear, and it's like, I guess you could. I mean, you know, I trained a lizard. But like a bear? Like that's something
like I don't know if you've seen the Khabib wrestled a bear when he was a kid. The UFC
Nurmagomedov or something like that. I can't pronounce his name.
Nurmagomedov. His dad brought like a small bear, and he'd wrestle him as a kid. And I think that like there's certain like, not tribes, but like certain people who like hang out and they like grow up with bears. Like that's something I think is not like very common for just anybody in Siberia to be around bears and just let them in their cabin and like hang out with them, you know, sit down at the table, give them fish, you know.
But that's what it seems like. Show.
Yeah, that's what it seems like. But no, I think it's certain like areas in Russia where they'll have that more prone to that. And then there'll be like circus bears. Russia's really big with circus. Oh. So, you know, you would teach a bear how to ride a bike and stuff too, you know, so. Jump through a burning room.
Wait till they get to be on a 10-speed, and then your bears are going 30 miles an hour and not even breaking a sweat. You know,
doing a handstand.
See, we're gonna have over here in America, we're gonna have Planet of the Apes.
Yep.
And you guys are gonna have Planet of the Bears over there, and it's just gonna be like, I hope they never meet, and we're gonna be long gone by then. There'll be no humans. You know, we'll have failed in our mission.
We'll be the bears and the monkeys, and they're going to be the other species. Dude, we're going to look up to them, you know?
But, man, that, like, bear. I've seen a bear. One time I went to Tahoe, and we were staying in this hotel on, like, the second floor. Yeah. And this bear, it's, like, summer, right? Mm-hmm. So this bear gets into this dumpster, and it's a bear, and it's not like, it doesn't look like a bear. It's just, like, I'm like, That's a huge dog, right? Then this dog stands on two legs. But it's like, this is the skinniest bear I've ever seen. Probably just woke up from like hibernation or something because it was summer, but I don't know. I don't know how it works.
And you just went to the local dumpster that he already knew, you know?
Well, I was watching. I was like, "That's a bear!" And then I see these people get out of their car, and I'm like, "Should I tell them there's a bear there?" My window's open. I certainly could. I'm like, "Hey, there's a bear," and they don't give a shit. They don't even hear me, you know. And I'm like, "Well, I'm watching this bear, and he's like looking at them, and he's like he's digging in here, but look, he was so skinny that it looked like." Me or you just put on a bear costume and was like walking on, we're like on all fours, you know, because like you think of a bear and you think, you know, they're fat, kind of like a hairy pig with big teeth, you know?
Yeah.
But no, this one was skinny, so you know he was hungry, you know? Plus that summer trash, that's ripe enough to smell from anywhere. So
he's like walking past, like, yep. Let's go check that out.
Oh, is that Cinnabon? My favorite. You know?
Oh, that's my usual trash can. I'm gonna go check it out.
Somebody threw away some perfectly good Budweiser. Sure, it's warm.
But I love warm Budweiser. How do they know?
Man, one time my neighbor brought me a case of Budweiser, and I don't drink that, right? But so it stayed in my storage because it was right before we moved, and so we stayed in my storage for like 2 years. So I brought it out, and we had a yard sale. It was free, you know. And of course I checked for ID, and maybe if that's the wrong thing, I'll edit this out. Maybe I didn't do that. I don't know. It's up to you to decide. But you know,
It's just a story.
Yeah, that's just a story
Made up.
Well, I'm glad you came by. Cheers, man.
Cheers. Yeah, so Liquid Death. Pretty cool company. I was listening to this podcast called How I Built This. Mm-hmm. I just like listening to like people building up companies and like how things they had to go through. And it was just an interesting podcast about Liquid Death. It was just a guy who was a marketing specialist for many years. And one day he was at a concert, and he sees all these guys who are about to go on stage drinking Monster. And he picked up the Monster, and he's just like, this is energy drink. But then it said at the bottom, water at the bottom, and it said not energy drink, not for retail purposes. It was just made Monster can with water in it, aluminum can, for concert purposes, so people have it on stage to promote Monster. And he didn't end up doing anything with that. He just saw that, and then he started just kept working at his company, and he was trying to open something of his own. And he tried something else. As he was going, he started a different company, and that didn't really take off. And then one day, they were doing some kind of marketing for some company, and they said, "Why don't you just do like some kind of like?" They were again, the company they were doing marketing for was against like energy drinks and stuff. And he had the idea where, you know, he remembered the Monster idea with the that they had water in there. They wanted to do a company against energy drinks and do water in a can for the marketing. And they don't want to do anything about it. They just wanted a video that showed like that energy drinks are bad, but they didn't want to do a whole can and water to like promote healthy lifestyle. And so once that whole thing passed, they didn't go for it. He was just like, maybe there's something there. And he started looking for a company that can bottle or can water. And it was really hard to find somebody in the States that, and he didn't want just like filtered water. He wanted like at the source, you know, like mountain spring water.
Sure.
And he couldn't find anybody in the States that could put it in a can. And so he ended up going with Europe. And a company in Europe could put spring water in a can, and they ended up coming out with Liquid Death. Why he thought about Liquid Death was he wanted some kind of marketing of like imagining all the water's in like a plastic and stuff, and now he has this can and then he wanted to do something where it looks like an energy drink or a beer or something.
Oh yeah.
And so that's why he came up with liquid death. You know, like it's just like so crazy.
Well, it's supposed to be like death to plastic, right?
Yeah.
Which you can kind of get behind because, I mean, if you even if you just taste this, it tastes better than if it comes out of the plastic bottle, right? Especially if that plastic bottle sits in the sun. You get that. You get the extra. You know, you get the extra spice.
Yeah.
But I've also heard that like people, well, I don't know how it affects women, but guys today have a shitload of plastic in their testicles.
Yeah, I heard about that as well.
Know, and you know, that could have something to do with like the fertility rate and stuff like that, and possibly infant diseases and things. So it's like this kind of makes sense.
Well, think about how much food we buy that comes out of a plastic package. You know, like growing up, we would eat so much cereal, all plastic packages.
Yeah.
How many hot dogs did I eat growing up?
Yeah.
All out of plastic packages, you know? Like everything you'd get pretty much at the store was out of plastic packages. It's so weird to me. The other day, I just remember this right now. I was at a Trader Joe's. And they have like a section where you can get like fruits and vegetables and put it in a plastic bag. And they have like these bags that are like biodegradable. Like they feel even weird. And I saw
like a dog shit bag.
Yeah. But I saw a lady with her own like grocery bag, and she brought her own jars. And she's filling her jars with this. So she's not even taking the biodegradable bags.
How does she pay for those?
So I guess like when she brings the jars over, they dump them into the bag and then put it back in her jars. So I didn't get why she's bringing the jars. I just think she doesn't want to waste the bags. So she's dumping everything in her into the jars. I didn't see her go to the register. This is my hypothesis. But I think that when they get there, they dump it in the bag, one bag, you know, and then dump it back out. And then, you know, but she's putting it in her jars because she doesn't want to take the plastic bags home. That's my thought process.
Even though they're the good plastics.
They're just people. They're just people who don't have garbage in their garbage cans. Those are the people. I always thought to myself, how do some people don't take out their trash cans for 2-3 weeks? Our neighbor right next door to us, Charles and Debbie, don't take out their trash. A few times they came up, I was thinking about rolling it out for them. There's nothing in there.
Yeah, actually, so
do they eat it?
Those are the people on like the other side, right? Not on the other side of your hedge, right? Because that's I think
no. That's Lorenzo.
Yeah, Lorenzo. Yeah.
No, but that's still left. Yeah, that's Debbie and Charles. Yeah, yeah. Charles, I think like was some kind of judge on the board of judges, and then Debbie, she's a school teacher.
Oh.
Yeah. So, but yeah. So Charles, he's always had some kind of autoimmune disease since he was like in his 20s. So right now it's a little bit more worse as he's getting older. So he's like mostly in the house. He'll come out once in a while, say hi, but he's always on pain meds. So sometimes he says he sleeps for like 2 days straight.
Oh, he time travels. Yeah. He's a time traveler.
What day is it? What year are we in?
Imagine. Oh my gosh. What if he slept for like 3 days? And like, imagine him going to sleep one day and then he wakes up 3 days later and he's like, hey, what's going on? Oh, nothing. Just the former president almost got assassinated and the other guy stepped down. Like, what? This is a wild time to be asleep for multiple days. A wild time.
Like, things can happen. You're just like, how did I miss all of this?
Yeah.
You know, imagine like he goes to sleep and it's like December 26th or 27th and he wakes up, it's a whole new year. It was just Christmas, you know?
I mean, that could that has to have happened, right? Yeah.
So the thing is,
it might have happened to me.
It just blows my mind though. But I was in their house one time, like for Christmas, we came over just to say Merry Christmas and like kind of hang out with them. And I just remember walking in, they have a lot of jars in the house, like with all kinds of food. So I'm thinking they bring some kind of biodegradable bag that probably they can scale and stuff. And Debbie puts everything in there, or Charles, whoever goes grocery shopping. And they just don't have a lot of trash.
Well, I mean, I kind of feel that because we don't have. There's been times where it's like, because over here, our garbage only picks up the recycling every 2 weeks.
Yeah.
You know, so it's the garbage. When they just pick up the garbage, it's not really that big of a week.
Yeah.
But when the recycle, you don't want to miss that. Otherwise, there's going to be a fight in the house. Everything. We're going to be, oh, who missed it? Well, you were out here, you know, but we actually have this thing called, it's like a little machine called a Lomi. Mm-hmm. And it almost, I don't want to say cooks your trash, but it kind of like speeds it up. Like it cooks it and spins it and does all kinds of stuff to where you put like food in there, like food scraps and stuff like that. And it'll make it so that you can just dump it into the dirt and grow something basically the next day.
But what can you not put in there? Plastic?
Plastic, yeah. So we throw away the plastic. What we can't recycle, that's basically what's in the trash, you know. Because we can put a lot of shit in there, and then you know, pizza boxes, things like that can go in the biodegradable thing. So
Yeah.
it's really like, but we have, and this is probably a testament to us because we go through so many bottles and cans.
Yeah.
We have 2 recycle bins. We're the only place that has 2 recycle bins, and they're usually full. Based on all the, it'll be, I'll just say it's the Mexican Coke that we drink, and not the beer. And you know, all the Amazon packages that my wife gets, is all the cardboard goes in there. You know, and that's
Do you pay for 2 or you just have 2?
We have to pay for 2.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, because every year when we were in San Mateo, every week we'd fill that thing up. You know, and I mean the recycling is like that space is more precious than the trash. If it overfills, then it's like I may or may not just throw it in the trash. I mean, I probably won't though. For all my 33 people that are watching this.
I recycle as much as I possibly can. No, but do you know if the recycle actually goes to recycle in Sacramento? Because I heard, and I'm not saying that this is true, that recycling is very expensive for them to, you know, process it. And a lot of people don't know how to recycle.
So yes, and yes.
So why do we have a recycle bin?
Does it make you feel better? Like it makes me feel better? I hope it does.
The same garbage truck picks up both. You're like, what is going on?
It helps my heart.
The garbage picks up the garbage and then he like pulls it to the recycle and takes it in as well.
Well, I mean, there's probably certain things that they recycle, but I think I've read the same kind of thing to where most of that shit does not get recycled.
Yeah, so like sometimes I'm putting stuff in the recycle bin and I'm like thinking, okay, garbage box goes in here, the plastic goes here, you know? And then I'm thinking to myself, I'm like, this all ends up in the same place. They like just dump the same trucks both into the same location.
You know what I should start doing is I should start like every bottle that I throw away that's like the short ones that are like the IPA bottles that aren't very common. I should just get a little etch and etch my initials in there and see if it ever comes back to me. You know? It probably won't. And that'll be my proof to say, I guess, that recycling is fake or whatever. But I've also heard that, like, China used to buy a lot of it.
Yeah.
And they used to buy a lot of our trash, too. And they still do. But what they kind of do with it is, you know, they build those artificial islands in the South China Sea that they use as military islands. So what are we really doing? You know? What are we doing with our trash? We're sending it to them so they can make islands out of it, so they can land planes closer. You know, so
the island just gets closer and closer to us.
Yeah, like they're just on like a bridge of our trash, just slowly making their way
floating towards us.
First they'll go to Japan, then there'll be a bridge to Guam, then there'll be a big bridge to Hawaii, and then they'll be right to San Francisco. You know, and is that the end game here? Because I'm down for like sacrificing one dude to just melt it all down. You know, because you know, I mean, we were all like 12 or 11 where we melted plastic for fun. You know, and one guy melt the plastic. We'll make something out of it. We'll cut it like a tree and make sheets of plexiglass. You know, something like that. I don't know. I'm not an expert. You know, I'm not a science guy. I'm more of a I'll get back to you on that. But
make up stuff as he goes, guy.
There's got to be a better way, right?
Yeah. No, what's interesting is you think that like the people are for the greater good, right? So you think they're willing to do everything so that we recycle this and it gets to the right place. But then you read an article, they say like, this takes too much effort, too much time, too much resources to have somebody come and sort all that because people are throwing away their milk jugs full of like, milk inside of it into the recycle.
Mm-hmm.
They're doing like eggs cartons with full of eggs in it with the shells, throwing it in the recycling. And they're just pizza boxes and all this stuff is all going to the recycling. They're like, we can't be sorting all this stuff. It's wrong.
Yeah.
And then the clean stuff gets dirty while it's being inside the recycle bin.
Oh, absolutely.
And so it's all contaminated. Were they going to wash everything? So it just, it's sad because like you said, it makes you feel better when you're putting in the recycle. But like I've been that guy where like my recycle's full and I'll just put the back in the garbage can. And I'm just like, but what am I supposed to do?
You're kind of you're like looking around.
So nobody else sees you.
Like, and then just in case somebody is watching, you want to do this. You know what? This is my house.
I tried my best. This can is only big enough for as much garbage as there is.
But you also kind of have to think like we were in the early days of AI, right? Mm-hmm. To where AI has been because of the way it's been created, because it's been created with computers in mind instead of like robots or whatever. Like how we always thought it would be in mind. That it's going after like writing stories and coming up with songs or whatever. It's doing that kind of stuff right now. But pair that shit with the Optimus robots and that stuff, and don't let them go to school or whatever. I don't know what you have to do with that. But like, get them to sort the stuff. It's a one-time payment. Like my brother, he'll be on the show, but he had this. He's like what I am with hardware. He's with software. Like he could do a lot of things with software. He's very good at that kind of thing. But he used to work. He was in this restaurant business, which he wasn't like a cook or anything. But he wrote the code for these robots, and the restaurant was called shit. Well, it was this restaurant in San. Oh fuck, Paul, you'll have to forgive me.
Why can't you look it up? Is it hard to look up?
Oh no, it's called Creator. I think it was called Creator.
Boom. See.
Yeah. Thank you for that.
You thought of your brother. You said you're sorry. I said internet, and it all came together.
Because I'm connected. I got that Neuralink. Okay. Well, the people don't know that yet. But okay, so it's called Creator Creation, but he would have these two robots that would automatically make burgers, right? And it would take basically like the exact amount of patty that you need. It would actually form the patty right there. Like if you wanted like a quarter of bison or a quarter of this, whatever, form it right there. It would put a sliced tomato on that. And everything was like super scientific, and it would go across this robotic, like it was all made of copper. So it was like very easy to clean automatically. And it was right before COVID. Right. And this thing, like, I went there and the burger was fucking killer. And there's only 2 people that worked there, or 3. There was a person that was like a technician for the machines, and there was 2 waitresses that would get me like drinks and bring your stuff out to you.
Everything else was automated.
Everything was it was automated. So there would be one dude that showed up in the beginning of the day to like slice stuff, right, and put it into like whatever the hopper was. But they made the hoppers in a way that everything stayed good in there for the whole day. I mean, it's San Francisco, so it doesn't overheat. But, and then for some reason, it did well at the beginning, but then COVID hit and it went down. I was thinking, like, that's like one of the only places that probably should have survived. But I have to say, I did get to name the 2 machines.
Yeah. Optimus
Prime Rib and Meg Grilltron. So, thank you for that, Paul. Thank you for throwing me that poem.
So, what ended up happening? They closed down?
Apparently, yeah, they closed down. I think the guy sold it, but he probably just sold the rights and the the IPs to like the robotics and everything and the code. But you know, at this point, that shit's out there. That technology's out there.
You know what would be awesome? Just popped into my brain is if they had an automated food truck that drove itself to certain locations. And then it would have like the automated make all the burgers and stuff right there, and it would just have a screen. And so it would drive up. All you do is load up the meat, the cheese, the buns and stuff in the morning, and they would just drive to like places where like construction or whatever, like the food trucks, like and then it would just be automated where you just like press on the screen, and there'd be like one technician that would show up and be there just in case something happens.
You know, that kind of thing, like that kind of idea could be taken pretty far, right? That I mean, if you wanted to, you could kind of like put that model into like Mars. If you want, like, if we found animals on Mars and we could kill them and skin them. And
the thing is, we would have to find an animal that we can send there that can live in that environment, like some kind of lizard. I don't know. There's a lot of iguanas. No, but I'm just saying, like, or like they would have to conform it to be able to breathe in certain situations. Like, where let's say we would have a certain mask on that would, take that oxygen, whatever they have over there, and convert it to one that we can breathe. But the animals would have to be, mutated to a form where they can live from the land.
They can live basically, just kind of hibernate and just kind of like stay there for a while, like a Mitch McConnell or something. Like you could just freeze there, and he could go into stasis.
You show up, they're all just frozen. You guys didn't stick to the plan. No, but I get what you're saying. Like, it'd be cool for a place where, like, you wouldn't need humans to, run the place. They could just be there and do all this stuff, and then a certain few would go there and live there off the land and kind of, like, see how it would go and report back.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it's interesting, though. It's like, it's like you think it's like one man and his mission. Elon Musk, like he's just like he's done with this planet, he's done his job, and he's like, I'm ready for a new place. Isn't that interesting?
He's a polarizing figure, but yes, and like I like the guy, and if he's really nobody's helping humanity in that regard, right? Like,
yeah,
yes, the Cybertruck was kind of a flop, and we were on the list to get one, right? We were not like we paid or anything, but like, on that list, on the waiting list, you pay $100 to do it. And then I found that, you ever watch Whistling Diesel on YouTube? Mm-hmm. Where he snapped the frame?
I didn't watch that one.
He was towing so it was basically like an abuse episode of a Cybertruck.
Yeah, I've seen like where he does like the Helix, Toyota Helix, and like other cars, the G-Wagon.
The Helix, when it comes out here, that's it.
That's over.
I'm buying one of those if a Toyota Helix comes over here. But so he was towing an F-150 with the Cybertruck, and he was towing it over those big concrete like tubes.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
Well, he was towing it over that, and he snapped the bumper, snapped the hitch off of the Cybertruck. So the thing's rated for 11,000 pounds towing capacity, right? It's like on par with almost like a 3/4 ton truck, like a 3,500 or 2,500.
Yeah.
And you snap it's bolted to there. It's not part of the frame, and he discovered that. Like, that is a major defect on a truck. Like, you're not saying that you're building a Ford Ranger competitor. You're saying you're building a Duramax or a Cummins competitor.
Yeah.
And that doesn't fly. Like, I will give Elon props though, because he open sourced all his designs for the batteries, for the motors and everything. And without him, there would be no electric car industry. We'd all still be like, wow, Priuses are great. Or like, yeah, hey, have you seen the new Chevy Sonic? Like things like that, or the Nissan Leaf. Bullshit like that is what we would be seeing.
Yeah, my buddy had the Nissan Leaf, and when he got it, it was supposed to be like, it was like one of the first models. It had like 80-mile range, and you could charge it. You drive to work, come back, and it was perfectly enough. After some time, though, it was like 70-mile range, and then she would charge it for 70. Right when he'd leave the house, it would drop to like 58.
Oh shit!
And then like his job was exactly like 49 miles from like there and back, something like that, like close to 50. And at one point, it would only charge to 55. But right when he would unplug it, he'd get on the road, it would be 48, 47. Like, you wouldn't even drive a mile and be already like 46. So he'd have to come to work and charge it at work. So it was so pointless. And so these cars were like, they're like around 20-something thousand new.
Yeah.
You could get one for like $2,000 right now, but the mileage is like 40 miles, but it's not even 40 anymore.
Yeah.
So, but then they came out the newer model and it's like 100 something. But you've probably seen, I picked up an electric car.
I have not seen.
So I sold my wife's Toyota Highlander, the blue one, and I bought her a Mach-E.
Oh, wait, is
the green one? Yeah.
Oh, it's like army green.
Yeah.
That is, that's a sick color.
Yeah, so
I love that color.
So we showed up to the dealership after I sold her Highlander. Why I sold the Highlander is a whole different story. But I just didn't want
you
much.
You didn't like it?
I loved it. I didn't want so much money sitting in one asset because I bought it for cash. Like I bought it, it was hit in the rear door and it was salvaged, but it was hit in the rear door. We fixed it. Everything was perfect. It was like 2023 with like, when I bought it 4,000 miles on it. When I sold it at 14, we put 10K on it in a year. Why I sold it was because I have a whole new project that I'm working on, but I need the funds. So I told her, I was like, I can write off a whole lease on my business, like as a business vehicle, but I don't plan on buying a new car. I'm happy with my X5 diesel. So I ended up going to Ford just to look around, but my wife already had her eye on the Mach-E. So we show up and she really wants a black car. She's like, I've always wanted a black car. I gave her 2 white cars in the past and then the blue one. She's like, no, I'm getting a black car. So we walk up to the black Mach-E.
She must like doing car washes.
We have Quick Whack.
Okay.
So
okay.
we don't wash our cars. But we showed up. She comes into the black Mach-E and it's nice. It looks good. It has like these nice wheels. And right next to it is the green one. And she just lost it. She's like, we have to test drive it. So we get in the car. I'm in the front seat with the daughter, Milana, and she's in the driver's seat. And we're driving around the parking lot. We didn't even leave the parking lot. We drive to the front of the building. And it's brand new. It had like 8 miles on it. And sticker price was like $54,000. But they used to have a tax incentive. Like you could write off tax like $7,500.
Oh, right.
Ford has implemented that into the price now. When you lease, so they take the $7,500 off of the price of the vehicle. Then I got them down another $2,500, so they took $10,000 off of MSRP. So I leased the car that was supposed to be $54,000 for $44,000, brand new. I got the premium, so I got the all-wheel drive, and the premium comes with like 40 more miles per charge. So my full charge is $290, but really it's like $270 something after you drive out of the house. Right. It like kind of falls. But the other one's $240. So I get around 30 miles more than and that one probably gets to $230 once you drive out of the house. So around 40 miles more than the base model. And
so that's the difference when it says GT on the back?
So this one, there's the base, then there's the premium all-wheel drive, and then there's the GT. I didn't get the GT because it comes with these like sport seats that like kind of curve around you. Like a Recaro seat looking. Oh, okay. And we got in it, and my wife didn't really like the cushion. It doesn't feel comfortable.
It puts your shoulders forward.
Yeah. So she didn't like that feeling of it, and you only get like I think 2.2 seconds faster.
Oh.
And the crazy thing about all electric cars come with these huge calipers, but on the GT they just have the Brembo sticker. Like it says Brembo, but it's the same exact size.
Really?
Yeah, it's hilarious. It's Brembo brakes. And it probably is Brembo, but the size is the same exact on both because you need huge brakes to stop an electric vehicle.
Right, and it's also it has regenerative.
Yeah.
Braking,
so regenerative. So when you brake, it always like says like regenerative braking, and the little bar pops up. You have to go for a test drive in it.
Well, so my brother actually had one of those.
Yeah,
he had a Mach-E. He drove it around for a little while. He liked it. He downsized to a different car, to another electric, which. He lives in a house in Oakland that doesn't have a garage, so it's like, I don't know. I mean, that's a hard sell for me, because for us, the Camaro would always be in the garage. Yeah, and whatever electric car we get would be out there. But I would just cut a hole or something to where we can.
So they have the chargers now, like across the street from me. Tran, he put a electric charger. He doesn't even have an electric vehicle, but he Airbnb's that house. He put a electric charger for like incentive for people to rent the Airbnb. It has an electric charger on the outside. So you just come up and you park in your car, and it has a huge cable. I was telling Terry across the street, I was like, I'm just going to go charge there every night. Free electricity. So the thing is, what's interesting is since we got the car, I haven't had to worry about any like problems or any gas stations, nothing like that.
No oil changes.
So nothing yet. So we've only put 800 miles on it so far. So we've had it for like 3 weeks now. We keep it in the garage. So that's why you probably haven't seen it. We just pull up and we hop it in the garage. But the thing is, why I got the car is because I don't want that much money sitting in a vehicle that depreciates. I could write off the whole lease on the business, and there's no maintenance. So 3 years, 36,000 mile warranty, 12,000 a year miles for the lease. So I could drive 12,000 a year without going over the mileage limit. Mm-hmm. And my wife barely drives. You know, she like goes to the grocery store, the gym, and like my parents don't live too far. She go to their house, and her few friends that live in the radius. So maximum she drives 20, 30 miles a day, maybe 40 if she goes to like Rollsville or something. So for me, it's like it made more sense than having a gas car that needs oil changes, all kinds of little maintenances, gas station fill-ups. She's filled up at the Arco right here a few times, and homeless come up to her, and like she's like, I don't feel really safe. So I had her start filling up at the Shell on Truxell. So it was
that Shell on Truxell, they'll still come up to you there.
it's a debacle.
They know no bounds.
So I told her, I was like, the electric car makes sense. I haven't put a charger in. I've just put a splitter for the dryer. So that's 2, and then they give you a cable with a charging block, and you get a full charge in 6 hours.
Okay.
So I plug it in, let's say at 12 o'clock at night or 11, and around 5 a.m. I'll get a notification on the phone. They'll say your car has been fully charged. If it's like at 80% or 70%, it's not like an empty battery. It'll charge in like 2-3 hours with the fast charge. But then you can just plug it into a regular wall charger, but it takes like 3 days to charge it, which is ridiculous.
Yeah. See, I mean, me and my wife, obviously, you've seen our cars out there.
Yeah.
I want a diesel. She wants an electric car, and I'll be damned if there's really a hard compromise there. So we just keep driving 20-year-old cars until one of them dies.
So the thing is, I did the math. I paid around $250 to $300 a month in gas on the car. So it was different. You know, sometimes I would take it out, or we would drive places on it. If we were going to go somewhere, let's say San Francisco or Lake Tahoe on it, of course the gas would always go up on those days. Mm-hmm. But I was just thinking about, like, I'm filling up already like $250, $300 a month, just her vehicle. I was thinking, if I'm going to be charging at the house and my electric bill goes up $80, $60, I haven't really checked yet. I don't really know. But you get an incentive with an electric vehicle. You send them your registration. I haven't done it yet. But they lower your kilowatts, like what you're paying.
Right. And that's good. But how long will they keep that going?
That program?
Yeah. Because
then you have to get solar.
Because eventually, right? So there's almost a concerted effort to kind of get away from those incentives right now, because California, and maybe it's a set example away from all the other states, but California in particular has so many electric cars and so many low emission vehicles and so many hybrid vehicles that the incentives and everything have actually hurt our tax revenue. You know, that plus everybody leaving to go to Texas and Florida and whoever knows where else. But
Idaho.
Idaho. But, you know, they have been talking about slowly taking those incentives back, right? So right now would be the best time to probably get an electric car. But I also, like, when I spend that much money, when I spend 5 digits, I really want it to be around for a long time, and it probably will be, as opposed to, like, I don't know, a car that you buy for cash for a couple years or whatever. But you really, there's really no, the used market on those is weak.
That's why I also leased, was because I thought to myself, let's say in the next 2-3 years they come out with a range of 800 miles, like the new batteries or something Elon comes up with his team. So I decided to get a lease for 3 years, because I said, you have a buyout option at Ford. Tesla doesn't give you a buyout option after the lease. They take the car back. But Ford gave me a buyout option. So after the lease, I'm going to pay like around $18,000 for the car for the life of the lease. Then I can buy the car from them for $28,000 in 3 years. I looked at the used car market for the Mach-E's with around 30,000 miles that are like 2021. They're still going for like around 30 something thousand. So I would technically be above on my lease. So I could technically sell the lease to them and they would give me like money back on my lease because I would have more money. Like I could buy it for cheaper than what it's worth.
Right.
So I just decided that I'm going to lease it. If I love the car, nothing really crazy cool comes out in the next, 3 years, and my wife wants to keep the car, we're going to keep it. Knowing my wife, knowing myself, in 3 years, I'm not going to want this car, and I'm not going to want the headache of having to sell it.
Yeah.
So I decided this will be a cool experiment of having a lease, having an electric vehicle, enjoying a new car, because I've never bought a new car in my life. This was my first time going to the dealer and buying a car.
So was this 0 mile car?
So it had 8 miles. So I guess somebody test drove it before we did.
So possibly 0 farts.
Yeah.
Maybe 1 or 2 though. Yeah. Okay, because that's how I judge a new car. It's because there's that $8,000 gray area where it's you drive it off the lot, then it becomes a used car, right? Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. But if you have 0 farts in there, it's almost worth it. And then I told this to Drew too when he had bought his Subaru brand new. I was there ain't no farts in there, huh? He's like, no. I make sure it was 0 miles. He was like, there ain't no farts in there. I cleaned all the farts. I sanded all the farts out of there of the Camaro.
You have to sand the dash too.
Oh, I did. Everything in there is new or redone or recovered or boiled. Burn some sage, whatever.
Just close the windows and burn a cigar in there. No, but what's interesting is I never saw myself as electric. I thought I was very big on hybrid because my dad has driven a Prius. I used to have a Prius, and I was thinking, how cool is it that you can drive a certain amount on battery? Mm-hmm. If you're driving slow or downhill,
never
whatever.
Use gas.
Yeah,
yeah.
But my dad, we got him a Prius 2019 all-wheel drive, and it gets 55 to 58 to the gallon.
So, but a Prius, and correct me if I'm wrong, but a Prius is primarily gas with an electric assist, right?
Yes.
Whereas the Chevy Volt was primarily electric with a gas generator.
Yeah. So what happens is that Chevy Volt has a small engine.
Yeah.
That after you drive your 80 to 100 something miles, I guess of range that you charged, the engine would turn on, the combustion engine. Mm-hmm. But my buddy's wife drove 6,000 miles on her car, it was a brand new Volt, and she only drove 100 miles on the actual engine because she would charge 100 something miles, take the kids to school, grocery shop, whatever, go to her friend's house, come back home, and she was not charging, go pick up the kids, stop somewhere else with the kids, and come back home. And right when she'd be pulling to the house, sometimes the engine would turn on.
Oh.
So out of 100 trips or whatever, the engine turned on for 1 mile.
Yeah.
So it's so interesting. The only thing is I would never own a Chevy over a Toyota. I'm just that American.
Okay, I'll agree with you there because Toyota is there. You can't get more reliable than Toyota.
Yeah.
But Chevy, just because it was, and obviously because I have a lot of GM vehicles and it's in my blood, so I have to. But and all of the Autobots were GM vehicles, so I'm a big Transformer fan. But that was just the selling point for me, that it was electric first and gas secondary, because I also saw this dude that had he had a Tesla, mm-hmm. I think it was a Model S, that he had installed a generator in and basically cut a hole in the back hatch to where he could put a gas tank. You could put gas tank in and fill it up, and he goes and fills it up at gas stations. People are like, but he got 1,200 miles to the tank, and so it was 5-gallon tank, but that 5-gallon tank runs a generator that constantly charges that motor.
The battery.
Or, the battery.
Yeah.
But, that would be the way to go. That's a scary amount of gas mileage,
Yeah, see, the thing is, it's you think about it this way. Imagine taking a Prius or a Volt and having the gas tank being bigger and having a way, like you said, the generator to recharge the battery, because it's the regenerative braking does very little.
Right.
So if there was a way to shut off the battery, you're driving on the gas tank, right, on the Prius or the Chevy Volt, while your car's charging the battery. It does do that very, very slowly. But let's say you had a generator that was also charging the battery at the same time. Right when the battery's full, you shut off the engine and the generator, back to driving on the battery only. Yeah. Then you'd get a crazy amount of gas mileage. But like you said, the Tesla was getting the generator to recharge the battery. I'm sure there was some kind of software play as well, because I don't think you can just charge a battery while you're driving on at the same time. I don't know if it's dangerous or not, but that's some techie stuff, where somebody had to get into the ECU and break all that stuff and being able to have the battery being charged off the generator while he's driving. But that's awesome. I didn't see that, but that's really cool.
I mean, I don't know if, now that you mention it, I imagine that it would affect the life of the battery. I know it would make more sense if he had a second Tesla battery that was being charged while he's driving on one. Oh, and then you switch
it.
Yeah. Like a tank on like a plane or like an old diesel truck.
So like you have two wings and you're driving with one wing and then you flip it over to the second tank.
If JFK Jr. knew that he could switch tanks, he would still be alive. Pilots today because I fly too, but I have to. There was a JFK law that came around saying that every new pilot has to be able to drive or fly an IFR, and you practice to switch tanks as a piece of your emergency procedures.
Yeah,
because he had gas in one tank.
You know what blew my mind is, like you were saying earlier, we talked the other day, is the checklist for before you can fly a plane, before you can sit down, like everything you have to check, and test and shake. And when I went for the flight at McLennan Air Force Base, when we came there and he pulled out the checklist and he started going through everything, I was like, imagine people did the same thing before they got in their vehicles. Check tire pressure, check the switches, check the ABS pump, check the oils, check everything, right? You do that kind of stuff when you're going on a long road trip. Mm-hmm. But every day you trust your vehicle, you just start that baby bat right up, you put it in reverse and you get going, right?
And you don't give a shit about hauling ass around a corner going 50 and maybe your tires hold, I don't know, maybe your lug nuts fall out, I don't know. But I'll tell you, if we had to maintain, I think I said this before, if we had to maintain cars like we maintain planes, we would all be still driving around in these. 70s cars, 60s cars.
You'd be like driving, you see the odometer shows over 5,000 miles. You come home, you pull the engine, you fully rebuild it, slap it back in, and you keep driving it.
Yeah. Or, you would have to take it to a specialized technician and stuff.
Or
you
have to go get it inspected.
Yeah. There would be a lot. Because with the FAA, they are their own kind of self-governing agency, and they've been able to maintain their autonomy because of the way that they meticulously get after things.
Yes.
Like if you are drunk and you try to fly, they will pull it before anybody else will, because the FAA has to be the most strict. Otherwise, they get the federal government to come and mandate some shit and mandate stuff that you have to do. And so right now, it's kind of still a self-governing body, which is great. So, I just maintaining the planes, it can't be overstated. And those guys and gals that are the mechanics don't get nearly as much credit as they should, because that shit is to the T.
You know what's interesting is, like you said, there's no e-brake in the sky, There's no flat tire or didn't check the oil. Pull over real quick, So it's if something goes out, of course you can glide that plane down. People don't understand that the engine's not everything. Like you said, if you have to lose a wing first to not land.
Yeah, and even then, I mean, if you're driving an 810 Warthog, you still put that thing down. You said you were looking for a new shop then. Are you guys moving up?
Yeah, so right now we're renting 2 bays at a shop complex that has 50 shops total. And I've been there for about 5 years now and running a business out of them for the last 4. And so we've been looking for something that we can purchase, because 5 years ago, when we were in the search for a place to run the business. It was $450 for one bay, and I started with one bay.
That's a decent price.
Yeah, for 800 square foot shop with I think it's like a 1,500 square foot yard. Fits about 16 vehicles if you put them really close to one another in the yard. And when I got it in there, I was doing auto body. I was doing a little bit of Bondo, painting cars, and then my next door neighbor was also doing auto body. He was helping me, teaching me some stuff. He was doing it for about 10 years. Nick, shout out to Nick.
Shout out to Nick.
Yep. And so he ended up telling me, like, he saw that I was also doing car parts on the side from the auto body part, because I had like an eBay store going, and he ended up saying we should, partner up together and do this business. And that was about 4 years ago. And so now we had two bays, bay 39, bay 38, put a little hole in the wall so we could walk through both shops, and everything was going good. And then somebody bought out the complex and raised the rent to $750, which was still pretty decent,
Bless their hearts.
Yeah. And so we were paying $750 for about a year, and then they ended up bringing us another lease notice saying that the rent will be going up to $1,100. And if you have a business license on one of your shops, because one of them was our storage, one had a business license, you're going to pay $1,250.
Oh. Huh.
So since you have a business license, there's more paperwork for them. So they're going to raise it more than the storage one. So we ended up paying $1,250 for one, $1,100 for the other. And we've been doing that for about a year and a half. And they just served us with a new lease. And it's starting September. It's August now. It's going to be $1,650 for the business and $1,600 or something like that for the non-business. So it's like $50 difference now. And so we're going to be up over $3,200 a month for 2 bays.
God.
Yeah, so we started looking for a shop and land that we can purchase for, like, with their business loan for the down payment, and then just a FHA or some kind of loan for 30-year mortgage. And we looked at a few properties. One had a house in the front and had a shop in the back. It was a perfect property, but it was bought for cash. We can't compete with that. And then a few other properties we looked at were just run down, and the price was up way too high. And then one place we looked over here not too far on Arden, it was a auto body shop that had like 2 garage doors, like a drive-through shop, nice little lot, fenced and everything. But it just hasn't been used for such a long time. It's just homeless city around it.
Nice.
Yeah, so we're just looking for something that we can possibly rent something on the property, some kind of house or something, and then pay the rest paid on for the shop and just have like the business in the back. But it's really hard to find commercial industrial land with living quarters. Either it's industrial and it's a shop and that's it and bare land, or it's a small little office and then bare land with no shop. But it's hard to find like a house that somebody lived in and then ran a business in the back. It's very hard to find that. Or if we found one, it'd probably be over $1 million.
Well, especially out here.
Yeah.
I mean, if you were gonna, I would say if you were gonna get like a shop and you with the expectation that you're gonna rent out a portion of it.
Yeah.
I think it would probably also be less liability if you just rented a portion out for storage to somebody.
Yeah.
You know?
But the thing is, with storage, there's so many storage complexes now, and so many places that are like boat storage, climate control storage. There's so much competition already that we'd have to be on the cheaper end, or we'd have to find somebody who would rent a bigger portion, who has a bunch of toys like RV, boat, cars, and he'd want like rent out a good portion of the shop or the building or whatever, or land, and put a bunch of his stuff. That would give us a good amount to rent the land for. But if you have some kind of house that people could live in, get a little remodel going, if it doesn't have fence it off, and then they could live there, it would make more sense, as in like the property to ratio of like how much income would be coming in from that property.
So you'd be down to like get the property as just land and pour the slab, put the corrugated walls up, and get the shop going like that.
Yeah, but the thing is, with that, it has to be the right zoning and the right, people who would be willing to let us put one up. So it all comes down to the zoning, because let's say I even find the perfect place, and then they tell me that I can build this thing, right? And then once we buy it, we apply for the permits, and they come out and they say, oh, the land has to be 3 feet above what it is now, because when this place was built, there wasn't flood zoning. Now it's flood zoning, so you'd have to have like a ramp to the shop, so just in case it floods, the inside of the shop doesn't. And so you have to like bring up the grade of 3 feet to build the shop. And also you have to have like this ramp, and like imagine how much dirt that is to grade it 3 feet above sea level or whatever. So it's just, you have to find something that's already in place. Let's say there's a huge barn. That's perfect, because the barn is already structurally sound. There's already, let's say there's some kind of flooring or something, or let's say even pour the flooring in and you reinforce it. Technically you could use that as a shop. And then I could have storage in either storage containers, or like we have right now, we have 3 of those semi-truck reefers.
Oh, yeah.
We have 3 53-footers and 1 40-footer, and we're keeping those as storage. We can technically put storage. We don't need a shop for storage. Just get more of those or storage containers, and then use the shop just for the lift, the barn.
Right.
But it would still have to be the correct zoning. But if it already had a house on the property, some kind of structure, it would take out the headache of having to get the permits and building something.
Okay. Well, yeah, I mean, if you can find any way to not deal with the city, that's all the better, but you're going to run into it. It's just, have you been looking like Rio Linda? And
So we've been looking Rio Linda, Marysville stuff, but a lot of that places is flood zoning. So that's where you're coming to the grading and the sea level and having to bring in the dirt. We found a house with a shop in the back, but they weren't willing to give us a loan for it because it was a mobile home.
Oh.
So nothing on the property was deemed value. It was just bare land with a mobile home, because you can't get a loan on a mobile home with the land, because you can pick up that mobile home and take it anywhere you want.
Right.
But if it's in the ground, foundation and everything, you can't pick it up and take it.
I guess you could call them my in-laws. I don't know, but it's my father-in-law's wife's kids. So they bought a motorhome, or a
Mobile home.
The mobile home with the house. I mean, they didn't like tow it anywhere; it was already there and stuff.
Yeah.
But it ended up being like the floor rotted, and so one day their foot just went right through, and they went through hell to try and get that thing insured, to try and like get insurance to pay for it and all that stuff. I mean, it's like right here we're just on a slab with clay underneath, so it's cracking all the time. I'm sure it's over with your house too. But with a mobile home, that's like it's an artificial floor. Yeah. There's God knows what living underneath that floor. Mm-hmm. Raccoons, possums,
rats.
Yeah, rats, cucarachas. But
small coyote.
Yeah. Right? Yeah, because there's no wolves to check them.
Yep.
You just look at it.
I hear there's a lot of land in Siberia and Alaska, though.
Nice and cold. Ice. and you don't need AC.
And if you're hungry, plenty of bears. Either you will eat bear or they will eat you, and either way, you're not hungry. Win-win.
Everybody wins when you're in Siberia.
I was a story for another time.
Yeah, but pretty much we're in a place where you can't just go out and buy whatever you want, like back in the day, and build whatever you want. You have to buy specifically what you need, and look at the market, and you have to make an assessment. Is it more expensive to buy and pay the mortgage and insurance and the taxes, or is it better just to pay the rent and get price gouged until you're ready? Because nobody goes out and just buys a house just winging it. And if they do, they're just getting themselves in a financial rut. So we're in a place where we have to buy right.
Right.
So if we're not going to find a place to buy right, we're going to stick to rent. But we're going to try to get everybody together and go out there and talk to the owners and try to get them not to raise it this time or a little bit less than.
Yeah, you have to. I mean, that's a rough go. You're talking about a $400% raise over 4 years, 5 years.
Yeah, 5 years.
That's
Imagine if you lived in like a apartment, and it was $1,000, and then right now it's gonna be like $5,000 in 4 years. You're just like, I can't survive.
well, that would have people in the streets.
Yeah.
Yeah, that would have people protesting everything. But like you said, that law is for residential
Yep.
only. Those
Because you don't need the business like place to live. We're not living there, right? We're working out of there. So what they're saying is you could go find a smaller place, or you could run a business elsewhere where it's cheaper and not as nice. Even though it's might not be as nice with a yard and stuff. You might get a smaller shop with 2 parking spots, and you'll pay $800 a month or $1,000. You could find that maybe a little bit further out. But to have a yard and a shop and stuff, they're feeling like it's a luxury, and now they're taxing it by bringing up the rent.
I mean, that's kind of the times that we're in, right? This is going to be a hard. I'll keep my eyes open. I'll have all my 23 people that watch this. It was 30. It was 33 20 minutes ago. Now it's only 20. But we'll all keep an eye out. I mean, it's a tough road out there, So all the small businesses kind of have to help out each other. Yeah. This is a small business, even though we don't make any money here.
We have to put tape on the cans so eventually get sponsored. You can take the tape off,
Oh, that's a good idea.
Because if you have it's already a sponsorship, a free one.
Well, stay tuned. All right, man. Well, all right, David.
Yeah.
Well, it's always been a pleasure.
Yeah.
I appreciate you coming by.
Thank you so much.
And this is the second time, of course, not the last.
Yeah.
And we'll have you on here again.
Awesome.
But appreciate it, and we'll keep our eyes out, right, guys? We'll keep our eyes out for that commercial property.
Thank you, guys.
All right, guys. See you later.
Yep. Bye-bye.